What is up, my friends? I'm sure you can hear me. Welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I am your host, Mark Perry from XFL News Hub, and on this week's show, the Pittsburgh Steelers get blocked not once, twice from signing XFL QBs. Plus, XFL coaches take a pass on players like Johnny Manziel and Trent Richardson. We'll get into that. And so much more. So how do you get in touch with the show? It's very simple. You email podcast@xflnewshub.com with your MP3s or call 888-430-7692, extension 3. Remember, cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. And remember to leave us a review on Apple Podcast, and we'll read it on the show. Very simple. Why are we doing that? Well, because we have a little contest. We'll get into that in a second. Remember, our question of the week this week is who has the worst XFL uniform. That's right, the worst XFL uniform. We'll get into that later on in the show. Remember, you can listen to me on Dallas Radio, 1160 AM KBDT Sports Day with John Clemens. That's on Saturdays and Sundays. And we are live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on your YouTubes for this podcast. Now, we have a special contest coming up right here, right this second. An iTunes review or a YouTube subscribe, one of those two things, you'll be entered in to win a very lovely XFL football. That's right, your very own XFL football. You're going to like that. So, it's very simple. You leave us a review on iTunes or you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you're entered into winning an XFL football of your choice, a value of $125. Winner will be announced on the February 4th episode of XFL Week in Review. That's right, the February 4th episode of XFL Week in Review. You will find out who wins this contest. We'll announce it live right on the show. No questions asked. Now, my friends, speaking of XFL and XFL footballs, first I want to point out to my friends watching on the YouTubes, if you can see here, we're going to move this down a little bit. I am wearing a DC Defenders shirt. Yes, that Black Friday sale of the long sleeve shirts. It is very comfortable. So I'm wearing my DC Defender shirts, my first official purchased swag, I guess you could say, from the XFL. So I got this. It just came in the mail today. Yeah, I think it was today. It came in the mail. I have it. I'm wearing it. It's very comfortable. So yeah, this was part of that Black Friday sale. It was just one item, and it was like 40% off or something. Those are these things. So I have it here representing my DC Defenders. Nothing on the back, but this is going to be great to wear during the summertime. Also, I have in my possession, for all you freaks watching on the YouTubes and those are not watching or listening on the podcast, you're not going to be able to see this, but I also have an XFL Defenders football. That's right, one of these footballs. This is the deal. This is what you can win by subscribing on iTunes, because we want to get to 1,000. Subscribing or leave us a review on iTunes or subscribing on YouTube. One of those two things can get you this XFL football that I'm holding right here, which of course you can't see. I have a story behind this football, but I'm not going to tell it right now. What I'm going to do with this story, I'm just shaking the football in front of the camera to make everybody jealous watching. There is a story behind this. We have an unboxing video that one of our guys, Zach, put together, that we put together, that's coming soon to our YouTube channel. You'll have to check it out, but we do have an unboxing video. We go through the story behind this football. You won't want to miss it. There's appearance from my wife and appearance from our dog. That's right. Dog and wife are both in this video. It's coming soon. Check it out on YouTube. I'm not going to say much about it, but I am holding in possession an XFL Defenders football. And let me tell you, I was at the DC Defenders open practice this past Saturday, and I was like, well, maybe this is just a knockoff of the real thing. Like, let me check out the real deal. And nope, this football is exactly what they were using on the field. 100%. I looked it up. People were like passing it around, and they were like passing around to each other. They were like, oh, check out the footballs. Like, what do you think? People were like, ooh. And I was like, I got one at home. But I didn't say that because I'm not like that. This is very cool. So I have the video, an unboxing video. Check it out on YouTube on that. So we'll put this to the side. But I love it. It is awesome. And definitely want to check out the YouTube video for that. Speaking of the DC Defenders practice, we have a little video clip. Now, this past Saturday, we got a chance to go head to College Park, Maryland, to check out an open practice. This was not for media. This was not for every fan. This was just specifically for DC Defenders season ticket holders. So check this video out. The audio is meh, but you'll get it. You got the red blinking light?
Yep.
What's up, everybody? This is Mark from XFL News Hub. I'm just here at the DC Defenders practice for our season ticket holders. They finally wrapped up. We couldn't take any pictures, couldn't take any video, but we have some shots for after the event. It was a good event to see the teams. There were some little scrums from some of the players. They were all getting into it, installing their offensive plans, defensive playing against each other, guys running around. We were close. We were only a month away from the XFL season, really. So we got some pictures, and stay tuned. All right. So we got a chance to head over to College Park, Maryland, which actually I lived there for a little while, and to the Cole Field House. They had this event for DC Defenders season ticket holders. We walked in there, and big open field, but there was no pictures allowed. We couldn't go. We got to go on the field. So basically, it was a 2-hour practice. And at the second hour, we were able to stand on the field, but in the back. But the first hour, we were just in the tops. Everybody was very gracious. At the end of the practice, about the last 15 minutes, we all lined up on the sideline, and all the players came up to us and thanked us for being there. And it was really humbling for me because I was like, thank you. And I didn't even know what to say. And I was kind of like, oh, well, good luck to you guys. I mean, we must have met tons of players. Everybody was so nice. The staff was so nice. Got a chance to talk to Eric Moses and Mike Preston, both PR and the DC Defenders president. Got to shake hands with Pep Hamilton, head coach. Had some good conversations with some of the players and coaching staff. So it was a lot of fun. It was a great event. I mean, you don't get this kind of thing in the NFL. Got a chance to go on the field. My daughter got to do a handstand on the field. She was very excited about that. And took some pictures, which you're seeing right now on the YouTubes of me holding the helmet. Got a chance to look at the helmet, hold that. And so it was just all in all, it was a very fun event. And I know fans have been having a chance to go out there and go to see some events. This wasn't, as big as this was. They told us that this was the only time that the players in DC got a chance to meet with the fans up close, where a lot of the other events, other teams had open practices. We could not take pictures at all. If you pulled out your phone, someone told you to put it away. It was like top secret, hush hush kind of deal. So these guys were for real, and they were serious. Couple scrums, couple little fights between different players on the field. My daughter was perked up when she saw those things. I was like, hey, man, they're getting after it. But all in all, it was a great event. I appreciate what the XFL does for its fans and to give us access like this. This is truly just so much fun. A lot of young kids out there. Plus, they did a Toys for Tots thing, so we were able to give back to the community. And so all in all, they gave us some T-shirts. So it was a great event. If you don't have a chance, if you ever have a chance, head out and go to one of these events. Next time, they closed up today. Next time the Defenders will take the field is January 6th in Houston, along with the other teams. Pretty much everybody's wrapping up today or tomorrow. And then we have the holidays, and then it's off to Houston. So that was a really cool event. I say so a lot. I realize I do that. We have the question of the week: who has the worst XFL uniforms, and so much more. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. I'm not sure what happened to my music there. That's weird. Oh, I think I lost it. Okay. Anyway, technical difficulty. The Pittsburgh Steelers, plus I have a cold, my voice is going again. Pittsburgh Steelers were blocked twice from signing XFL QBs, we learned. In a wide-ranging interview by Tampa Bay Times reporter Tom Bassinger with XFL Commissioner and CEO Oliver Luck, Luck talked about how the XFL blocked several players from signing with the NFL, particularly the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, we reported several weeks ago about Detroit Lions trying to sign LA Wildcats QB Josh Johnson. They turned that down. They was like, nope. But we also learned that the Pittsburgh Steelers had a similar situation when their star quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, went down with an injury. Current Dallas Renegades QB Landry Jones, a backup to Roethlisberger for several seasons, was the first thing on the Steelers. The Steelers did when Ben went down was they reached out to the XFL, but according to Oliver Luck, quote, can Landry come to the Steelers? Question mark. Nope, sorry, he's ours. We signed him. The Steelers, still in need of a quarterback, however, reached out to the league again, this time asking about Houston Roughnecks QB Philip Walker. Quote, we'd like to have Philip for a week because we're playing the Ravens, and Philip's a little bit like Lamar Jackson. We'll sign him to a 1-week contract so we can get him accustomed to that kind of quarterback. We said, thanks for the compliment, but we're not letting him go. That was Oliver Luck. Made it clear from the start that once a player signs with the league, they're locked in. Quote, we won't release that player to the NFL until after our season. We need certainty. We can't just have guys peel off. Makes total sense. You can't have guys coming and going during the XFL season just for the NFL. And meanwhile, it's not like they're going to have a big role. I mean, maybe Josh Johnson would have in Detroit. But you can't just keep doing that. Otherwise, like Oliver Luck said, we need certainty. We need everybody locked in, and we're ready to go for the season. XFL head coaches and personnel staff, I guess, but mostly XFL coaches, took a pass on one person that we've talked a lot about here on the show. And that is Johnny Manziel. That's right. The XFL coaches, in that same interview with Tampa Bay Times, talked with the reporter, asked about guys like Johnny Manziel, Colin Kaepernick, and Trent Richardson, about what's the deal and why weren't they drafted? Well, the answer was simple. From the XFL coaches said, we're not interested. Quote, I would argue that the players we have are better than those guys, to be honest with you. Johnny has his own history. We have coaches from the CFL, Canadian Football League, who have seen him up close. I watched Trent when he was with the Colts, and I watched him when he was with the AAF. He was in the draft pool. Coaches and scouts looked at him and didn't think he was going to help their team. I think the guys we have on our teams are the best 560 that aren't playing in the National Football League. Close quote. A definitive answer from Oliver Luck. Now, as we know in our in-depth coverage of the XFL draft, we covered Manziel, but Manziel was not part of the any kind of XFL draft pool, so maybe we thought he may be a tier 1 type guy. Trent Richardson was, however, he was even featured in some videos from the XFL. Check this out.
Chip on my shoulder, I feel like it is more of a chip that I have, more of an opportunity. I have a chip on my shoulder that, just to prove to myself and to keep showing myself and my kids that, I never give up. And I'm going to always follow my dream. I guess you can say I have a chip on my shoulder because anytime out there on the field, I'm going to always, go out there and beat the next man. And I'm never going to let nobody beat me. And that's just, that's just my way of life.
So there you have it. Trent Richardson having a chip on his shoulder, but the XFL and its scouting staff was not interested. Now on to Jonathan Manziel, was said to be on a lot of coaches' lists as part of their Tier 1 assigning of quarterbacks, including June Jones, who said, quote, Johnny Manziel is probably on 5 lists and was on one of mine. However, he wasn't picked up. Philip Walker was selected by the Roughnecks in the Tier 1. Then Connor Cook was taken with the first pick in the XFL draft for Houston. So he's got 2 quarterbacks right now. There's still one more shot for Manziel, however. In early January, there will be one more XFL supplemental draft. Sorry, yo. But we'll see if he gets picked up. As for Colin Kaepernick, it was pretty simple. I think his salary demands were way out of ballpark. He was never really a viable option. That is from Oliver Luck. We'll see. We have a supplemental draft coming in January, but I highly doubt Manziel will be on it. Now, former LA Wildcats cut former Baylor standout Shawn Oakman. This was kind of surprising. This was from the XFL show podcast off their Twitter. They have a quote from Winston Moss that says, quote, the LA Wildcats are all about supporting each other and winning a championship. We made a collective and joint decision that it was best to move on. So Shawn Oakman out, cut by the LA Wildcats. And that was a surprising move, too, because given to the fact that they were excited and promoting the fact about Oakman, including in this video we have from Twitter about Coach Moss seeing Oakman for the first time in camp at the hotel. So there you have it. That was when they first met, and they were both excited to be part of the Wildcats. And in this video, just a couple days ago, one of the players is doing a Boogie the Goat is doing a Boogie Chronicles of the bus ride, and in it he talks to Shawn Oakman as well. And this happened this past week. Let's take a listen.
What up, y'all? Boogie Bus Chronicles. So look, I'm here with the meme god, fan favorite, everybody love, big dog, Shawn Oakman. What up, Shawn?
Yeah, what's up?
It's crazy. Just a few years ago, I was seeing your picture everywhere, and now we teammates. Did you ever think like you'll be back on the field just with everything that happened and all that?
I did think it. I knew it. I achieved it, and we here. We only could go further from here. So,
how excited are you to be a part of the Wildcat family?
I'm very excited. All praise to the Most High. Can nothing be possible without Him.
And after everything that happened, like what was that little piece of hope that you held on to know that you was going to be back on the field? What kept you going? What kept waking you up every morning that I'm going to get back to the field and do what I love?
The responsibilities. Responsibilities never stop, whether you playing football or not. I always had a family to take care of, and I still do. Even though I'm the youngest, I feel like I need to be the provider for my family. And that's 11 brothers and sisters that I got, so... definitely having the responsibility to take care of them definitely kept me going.
So when the days got tough, you just leaned on your family, and that's what got you through everything?
More so leaning on God. You ask God for the miracle things to happen, so anything that I've been through is like magical. You can't predict those type of things that happen to you, and you damn sure can't predict coming out of those type of things. So it was definitely more so leaning on God to keep me strong and keep me focused.
There you have it. Shawn Oakman thought he had everything going for him back in the XFL with LA. Then just before breaking of minicamp going into the Christmas break and then into January training camp, he's out. Now, in February of 2019, Oakman was found not guilty of sexual assault from a case filed back in 2016. That case, along with other off-the-field issues, kind of kept him from NFL teams drafting him. He was a third-team All-American in 2016, so that kind of kept the NFL away. All these things were resolved. If he would get his life back in order, got a good coach in Winston Moss, and gets cut. Surprising by a lot of people for a guy that was trying to restart his pro career. He was drafted by the Wildcats in the Phase 5 portion of the draft. They promoted him a lot, but he is out with the LA Wildcats. XFL helmet partner is in a little bit of financial trouble, could miss a season deadline. According to New York Times, they're reporting that the helmet maker Viscus is, quote, running out of money. That's not good. Viscus is a new player in the football helmet business with backers like Seattle Seahawks QB Russell Wilson and NFL Hall of Famer wide receiver Jerry Rice. Visc helmets are worn by players like Wilson and MVP, last year's MVP. This year MVP will be Lamar. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. These high-tech helmets are supposed to protect players more than your traditional helmets. Quote, the shock absorbers inside the helmets have been shown to reduce the impact of direct hits and limits the rotational energy that the head absorbs. The XFL has made it a point to make their game safer for players, for all their players, including bringing experts in like Julian Bales, a founding member of the Brain Injury Institute. The XFL also established a health advisory committee in the help of working on player safety. So part of that player safety was rules changes and using more advanced equipment. Well, that's where companies like Viscus comes in. According to the report on the New York Times, quote, the company expects to lose $26 million this year. That's not $2 million. That's $26 million this year, according to internal Viscus documents. With its cash dwindling, it has struggled to fulfill some orders. The delivery of a few hundred helmets ordered by the upstart XFL has been delayed. The new league is hoping the helmets will arrive by the start of training camps early next year, January. According to an XFL official with direct knowledge of the transaction who spoke on the condition of anonymity to preserve the league's relationship with one of the few helmet manufacturers. So they're hoping that it will be there, but hitting that timeline doesn't look good because according to the article, quote, our employees are currently furloughed, which means they're not getting paid. And we need to raise capital in order to continue operating, or we may have no other option but to wind down all operations. This was from Ralph Green Jr., who took over as a new chief executive. If you check out their website, it states that they will resume taking orders on January 2nd, 2020. Not sure why they would need to stop taking orders. If people are furloughed, you would still be interested in making money. I'm not sure if things are going to go back to normal once January 2nd hits. It's unclear whether the XFL will lose money in this deal. Maybe they put in a deposit and the company goes out of business. That's broke. They're not going to give you your money back. Or maybe Viscus will come through with its delivery of these advanced helmets on time in early January. But even if they do, a company that's currently on the brink of bankruptcy isn't too great for the XFL in their version 2.0 that's coming out. But don't worry, have no fear, my friends. There are still other manufacturers of football helmets like Rydell and Schutt. Both are also working on advanced technology to bring to the market as well, so the XFL will still be able to play football with or without Viscus as a partner. Just kind of a troubling thing to happen just as the XFL season is really about to kick in high gear. The XFL sends out an app survey to its fan members asking about mobile apps. So if you were part of the fan network, the Football Advisory Network website, which, if you don't know, is a place for XFL and its fans to give feedback on ideas. Well, one of the ideas thrown out there was the XFL creating a mobile app. Now, don't forget, And you'll know this in a second, the XFL News Hub has its own mobile app. We were the first XFL app out there. You can download it for the iPhone and Android devices. We'll have a commercial here in a second. But some of the things from the official survey, asking questions like, what's your favorite sport? What do you love most about your sports app? What would you like in an XFL official app? What other sports teams or leagues do you use their app with? If they were to have an official app, would you be interested in things like expert analysis, order merchandise for in-stadium pickup, videos, interaction with players and coaches, learn more about the rules, find local watch parties by location around the country, see the schedules, player bios, stadium wayfinder maps, game highlights, photo galleries, video player or team stats, listen to podcasts, say XFL, put our name in there. Wouldn't that be nice to listen to this podcast? Clearly, we would edit it up better and take out me coughing. Share content, buy tickets, and push notifications, which I just want to point out that we have here. Quote, we are passionate about putting fans first. Thank you for taking time to complete this survey. So not sure, however, if the XFL will have an app at the start of this season. I doubt it because that's only a month away, but maybe this is something they're thinking about in the future. I wouldn't doubt it. Definitely by season 2 they have an app. All right, we'll be back with your social media stuff. We'll check out the chat room right after this. Stay tuned.
What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today.
All right, we are back checking out the chat room. Now, according to the chat room, Aiken Crow says Shawn Oakman and Jeremiah Spicer have been cut. That's a little shocking about Jeremiah Spicer. Again, another guy that the XFL talked about frequently and his backstory, and he was cut too. So Shawn Oakman and Jeremiah Spicer are out. Now, what's going to be interesting is once all these cuts happen, is anybody else going to pick up these guys? Bill McHugh says, funny how the majority of NFL teams are starting to wind down. Meanwhile, we got guys in the XFL right now competing and trying to get into this league, going in the right direction. I totally agree with that. Rangers Kings 669 title game will be in XFL City, confirmed by journalist Jeff Manjonetti. I did see that, yes, that the XFL championship game will be in one of the cities. I predict it was probably going to be Dallas, and maybe Tampa would be second. My guesses would be Dallas number 1, New York number 2, Tampa number 3 for your first season. That would be my guess on that. And all right, let's get into, so there you got 2 cuts, and I bet you more are going to happen right now. So let's go head over to the social media stuff, shall we? On the Facebook, our way too early XFL fantasy draft rankings, which we'll have another one, a second early, almost too early. I don't know what we'll call it. Players you should think about drafting. Matthew put that together. It was a good article. Steve says, just don't draft Kaepernick. Don't even give him a tryout. He'll screw up the league before it even gets started. Kaepernick is out. He's not going to be part of anything. Brandon says, I'm ready to check this out. All right. Everybody's starting to get, I mean, if you're unlike people, experts, professional football experts like yourself, like me, who's in the Super Bowl, I'm not picked to win, but I have Lamar. Hoping he has a big game. If you're in it with like guys like me, then you still have a fantasy league, but most of you people don't have fantasy going on for you. About Johnny Manziel and Trent Richardson in the XFL draft. Nick says, let's see, Trent was a beast in the AAF. Actually, he had a good goal line to run behind. That's all he did in the AAF. Danny says, you're so full of crap. Report facts, please. Johnny may not get picked, but he wasn't even in the draft. He has been clean 4 years now and should at least be able to put his name on the list. I'm sure if the XFL wanted him in their draft pool, they would have added him. He wasn't in the draft, but neither was Landry Jones, neither was Cardell Jones, neither was all the Tier 1 quarterbacks, my friend. They weren't in the draft. James says, wow, Johnny Football can't even make $50 a year in football. Jared said this was like 1 month ago or longer. I know, but it was something that was confirmed by Oliver Luck. Joe says, LOL, it's over. We had Mike Mitchell posting about the 56 best players not in the NFL are now part of the XFL, part of that quote from great article, quote by Oliver Luck. Paul says, damn, Skippy, Zach. And that was me who told you that I heard from Kurt Hunsinger that the XFL championship game was alternating in the markets, turn their host cities, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we knew about that. Thank you, Zach. About cutting Shawn Oakman, Ben says, I wonder why. Kyle Reason, ? Based on the quote, doesn't sound like a performance thing. It might have been a locker room thing. Not getting along with the players and coaches or something. But we don't really know. Man, my voice is going. Don't really know there. About the helmet trouble, Keith says, uh-oh. Yeah, I'm with you there. Back to our question. Who has the worst XFL uniform? Billy says DC. Tandor says, considering how bad the logos are, oh, come on, give me a break. They've done some terrific work with the unis. That just being said, I think DC one is a bit meh. Sean, LA, of course, go Battlehawks. Well, I think that's a biased one. Sundara, Tampa Bay has the worst uniform. Somehow people don't like lime green and yellow with yellow or green. Kyle, I don't think any of them are ugly, but I do think St. Louis jerseys are the most basic looking out of the bunch. Corey, well, I give my list from best to worst last week. Said the Vipers unis are terrible, and I'll stick to that. Anthony says Tampa. Alfonso says Tampa. Stacy says I like them all. So between DC and Tampa, which I believe on my list were ranked my bottom two, fans are not interested on that. On to the Twitter. Lots of tweets out there. XFL Maniac. Love your weekly podcast. The Mark. This is the XFL 1.0 jersey you're talking about. Yes, the Hitman jersey. He has got a Hitman jersey. I want one of those. I think the New York had the two best jerseys out there. Jones 143. He's got all the mugs and lots of coffee making equipment. Clearly has a caffeine problem. He's got all the mugs of all the teams. That is cool. Even an XFL mug. I'm not that big of a coffee. I'm a tea drinker. I'm not coffee. Now don't call me a wuss because I drink tea. Whatever. It's fine. But that's cool. Cool. I got my stuff. I'm getting more stuff as I can. Van A. Hurst, Seattle is farther west than LA. The line should always end with the league champion XFL Dragons. Jones 143 says, nope, Guardians win it all. LOL, JK. If I really had to guess, I would either say Dallas wins it all or DC. Interesting there. Let's scroll. Let's see. DK-Metcash. He in the kitchen cooking us up some XFL munchies. I'm starving for some XFL 2020. Me too. Let's see. Talking about great articles. Dragon. Some reaction to our survey there. Question of the week. Ace Archer. Dragons have the worst. Clearly, no. Justin Brensden says defenders look like plain old regular uniforms. Nothing special. I'm there. Steve says Dragons definitely do not have the worst. Definitely not. And I can't help you all with the love. This love. I love the unis, all of them. I guess Tampa is one ranked 8th in my book, but there's no worst. Me, just 1 through 8. XFL_fan says I'd say the Roughnecks. They have very meh feel to them. XFL fan says Roughnecks have a clip art uniform. And yeah, that's it from our friends over on the Twitter sphere. Let's check out messages on the YouTubes. Sean says, nice. Thank you for the XFL content. Hashtag Android Army. All right. One of our Android users, perhaps, for our phone app. Mifio123 says, the 2020 NFL draft will be in Las Vegas, which will attract tons of football fans. The XFL championship should be right there in Las Vegas the same weekend. There was talk about that as a possibility, but I don't think that's going to happen, in my opinion. I think, like we've heard over and over again, it will be in an XFL city, so don't worry about that. On to, let's go Instagram real quick. Talking about who has the worst XFL uniform. Defenders, too much red. I like the lightning bolt, but there needs to be another color in there besides red and white. Kind of agree with that. RabRob79 says, I actually think the Vipers green unis are the worst, far. Just a horrible color. I'm also a Roughneck season ticket holder and hate the road uniforms because they have a blue star on the shoulder that really looks similar to the one other football team, which I hate. I think he's talking about Dallas. Uncle Luke, 2019, Guardians have the best, but they all look great. I agree, Guardians by far. XFL.analyst says, Dragons home, Wildcats away. White helmets don't match with the navy pants, and dark helmets don't match with the white pants. A simple mix or match could do the trick. Burning Grape 2 goes with the Vipers. The Horn 517 says, Guardians, what? Kyle, for real, what if we like them all? I personally think they all are clean. Everybody liking the jerseys. Quickly, let's go to our emailers. Let's see here. Where's my... Switch it to emailers. Max checking in. It says, considering how XFL commentator teams are working some bowl games for ESPN this year, leaving McElroy Rossini on the 2 p.m. Eastern Bahamas Bowl on December 20th, Hart, Galloway, and McAfee at the 3:30 Boca Raton Bowl on the 21st, and the fact that Fox covers a handful of bowl games as well, it is likely we will see some promotion, especially during XFL Crew Bowl games about the league that will kick off in February. I sure hope so. But that's not the end of the possibility. Fox is broadcasting the Super Bowl this year. I definitely think we'll see XFL commercials during the Super Bowl. I cannot wait to see XFL Super Bowl commercials and go check out XFL News Hub and see the traffic spike. I am so excited about not only the Baltimore Ravens winning the Super Bowl, knock on wood, but watching the Super Bowl and seeing an XFL commercial. That's my two things. And I'm so psyched because That's the last weekend. Then it's XFL football weekend is on, my friends. It's on. Who says some in-game promo time or even a commercial isn't out of the question when the XFL broadcast partner has a Super Bowl? I agree. We regularly see WNBA promotion during NBA playoffs, including the finals. Criminally underinvested in, but that's another story on ESPN. So why wouldn't the XFL get shine on football's biggest stage? Let me know what you think. Absolutely. 100%, I bet you we'll see some promo on there. He goes on to say, and while the AAF, as far as I know anyways, did not have any Super Bowl promotion last year with CBS, maybe it was a mention. Very little. I remember thinking that too, but I'm not even sure. We have to consider just how much media clout Vince McMahon has, especially with Fox and ESPN. He also has the WWE on Fox. Charlie Ebersol had no chance of making it happen for the AAF, for the XFL. Vince has the cash to make it happen just for the first year when it needed it most. But like that said, what do you think? Or maybe the XFL elects to go after more hardcore football fans in the NFL playoffs when it comes to Fox. So many different ways it could take it, but I really think they'll take advantage of it. I totally think that we'll see. I'm hoping we'll start to see stuff in the playoffs. I mean, why not? You got to, people are, especially now, I think now they'll let it ride. But come playoffs in the NFL, we see some XFL commercials. And the XFL commercials have been hot and been great. So I definitely think we would see some good ones out there as well. I think the commercials will be really good too. I wouldn't be surprised if they were awesome. Nicholas, our tier 1 emailer, checking in, says, I read an article in which Oliver Luck has said that the 560 best possible players, I agree with him to the extent, but I also disagree with him a little. For example, the XFL has 3 quarterbacks that are starting caliber QBs, Cardell Jones, Landry Jones, Josh Johnson. They also have one unknown, Jordan Ta'amu, which is great. My problem is some teams are lacking competition. For example, the Guardians have McLaurin, but there is no one behind him to really push him with no offense. I have similar worries about the Vipers. I'm not sold on Murray, to be honest. Both teams, in my opinion, should add other QBs. It's 2 good free agents out there right now. I have mentioned like Luke Falk and Nick Fitzgerald. That could help. Also, you could add receivers like Kevin White, J.J. Nelson, Emmanuel Hall, Kelvin Benjamin, and Sammy Cobbs Jr. The league needs some pass rushers. Shane Ray, Carol Phillips, Robert Kimichki, Eli Harold are all available. The league also needs to add alignment such as Andre Smith, Central Henderson, Jemiah Pulsini, and Antonio Garcia. I know the XFL cannot sign every player, but they can continue to sign players to help improve their overall depth of the league. Let's go XFL 2020. Now, what's interesting, and who is the guy that Connor Schultz? What was the guy? Somebody brought it up in the chat room. I saw his name, and people are talking about him. That the people were surprised that he wasn't part of it. What was his? And he was like the leading sack guy in the AAF. Carter Schultz, I believe. Carter Schultz, that's right. Thank you. Thank you, my friends in the chat room, for clearing that up with me. Yeah, he's a guy that people were talking about out there as well. My surprise with cutting these guys right now is, wouldn't I want to see if I could get some guys to backfill in the supplemental draft in January 1st before I start cutting these guys? Like, see who is out there as a possibility to get before cutting them. So it'll be an interesting week this week. We're supposed to try to get rules coming out this week, as well as we're going to see some more players cut. So we'll keep an eye on that for all you guys out there. Now, for next week's show, there won't be a next week's show. Well, what about the week after that? Well, there won't be a show after that. We return January 7th, right after training camp starts in Houston. Why? Because a family event on the 24th and the 31st is New Year's Eve, and you guys are going to be out doing stuff, not hanging out here with me. Even though it would be kind of a fun having an XFL New Year's party, I guess. But we're going to hold off. We're going to have definitely content on the YouTube channel, as well as, of course, all your news covered on XFL News Hub. So if you want to be part of the show, email podcast@xflnewshub.com or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, XFL News Hub. Remember to subscribe or leave a review in the meantime so that you can get entered to win this very cool, I'm holding it right here in front of you, XFL football. Yeah, that's right. Plus, you could download our Android app on Google Play and our iPhone app on iTunes. Working on upgrades to those as well. And plus, you guys like my shirt. Leave us a review. We talked about that. The contest. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all that stuff. Show notes, xflnewshub.com/XFL-podcast. Well, friends, that's it. To be totally corny, I will see you next year as we hit to the road to kick off for the XFL in February 8th when your DC Defenders, America's team, take on the Seattle Dragons. So that's it for me, folks. Mahalo. God bless to you all, and I will see you all later next year. Take care, my friends.